Everybody, welcome back to Neon Trash. Tom of the Hammer here, hanging out with BC, Olivia, Johnny Rocket. It is the weekend finally, and it is Olivia's pick. Olivia, lay it on us. What are we watching on this night?
We're watching Irezumi tonight.
Ooh, Irezumi.
In honor of Tattoo Tuesday. Let's celebrate, guys. Yeah, I don't know anything about this movie.
We're all flying in blind.
Yeah.
The synopsis on the back sounded pretty intriguing, right?
Like this, tattoo demon bitch about to be going crazy and shit.
Yeah, and I've seen 2 films from this director previously and liked both, so I have, optimism going into this one.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. You guys know this routine. Check out that motherfucking trailer.
Peep that shit!
We'll be right back, motherfuckers.
Okay, we just got done watching Irezumi, which means tattoo in Japanese, and this is a story about how a tattoo kind of comes to life and wrecks a whole bunch of shit.
Comes to life.
It's in a way, it's artistically done, right? I mean, this is, I don't know, Japanese film. They just kind of have a way with cinematography. Just, I don't know, the culture almost lends itself to the way they tell stories and present it on film. And this was, I don't know, super well done. The colors were fantastic. It just, I don't know, it felt like golden age of cinema, but it was Japanese, golden age of cinema. And it was quite the tale. I mean, honestly, this kind of thing, isn't necessarily in my wheelhouse, like this kind of story or whatever, but there was enough, it was interesting enough of a story. I was like, okay, I'll go along with the premise here, and I was rewarded with several grisly, amazing death scenes. I did not expect this to turn into slasher, but it kind of did in a way. But I don't know, well before that it was ever really even a genre, really, right? Mid '60s, that was kind of
There was a couple of
this could be, I guess, considered a real precursor to that in a way. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise. But overall, it was super entertaining. It was a fantastic pick. This is a great film. BC. Was this your first time watching this one?
Yeah, this was my first time watching this one. I watched a few other films from this director previously, and I liked all of them a lot. So I kind of went into this with high expectations. The Arrow cover art helps for sure.
I gotta think this delivered them.
Yeah,
sets the mood.
Yeah, and it did deliver. This is a really beautifully shot film with really ugly thematic content. But you're just watching this terrible stuff be handled so elegantly, but then it's brutal when it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I guess just to summarize, I feel like it's a movie that's just men are trash, and honestly, yeah, and especially 19. Think about the time period this was set in. So 20th century. Not 20th century, way before 20th century, but then think 1960s when it's being filmed. A lot of bad shit was happening to women. A lot of bad shit is still happening to women. And so this was a woman kind of making the most of her situation and getting revenge on all these shitty ass dudes. So fair play. Good movie.
It is also Women's History Month, so...
Oh.
Fuck the men.
Yeah. Bunch of douchebags.
now that I look back on this really reminds me, as far as the cinematography goes, as In the Realm of the Senses.
I was thinking
maybe it's similar era, and that's what it is, to do with how the cinematography was. But it gave me similar vibes, and they kind of have similar storylines in a way.
Both directors were Japanese New Wave directors, so
yeah, they kind of have similar.
A little lusting happening in both those films, right?
Yeah.
Just unbridled passion.
I thought this was really good. It felt longer than it was. Not in a bad way. I was wow, only 86 minutes, and they jammed all of that in there. They really told a story in that amount of time.
It was like a soap opera episode almost.
Yeah.
I think that's why it felt so much. There's usually so much, there's so many different characters and so many different twists and angles going on, but they did the same thing in that hour and a half, so it felt like it was a full 2 hours because there was so much going on.
You guys have heard of that phrase, quiet quitting? You know,
Yeah.
where someone
Yeah.
slowly phases themselves out of a job they've been doing. I feel like this is quiet killing. You know, because that's what this girl does, essentially, is she wriggles her way into, like, these sleazebags' lives and gives them what they want, but then ultimately by the end their life falls apart or falls to pieces in her own hands, whether it's her whispering poison into their ear or just outright stabbing them to death. Like,
There's something about her that gets them to kill
exactly.
for her without her asking necessarily.
That's very Edgar Allan Poe in its own way, because I was immediately, I thought of like the Black Cat or some sort of like crazy, like, you know, gothic horror story, you know, but this was decidedly Asian and decidedly wonderful, and I mean, this is definitely in my wheelhouse because it's a very alluring movie, atmospheric. Definitely watch this on a spooky, rainy night, and here in Ohio, I mean, that's what it's been. Rainy, weird fucking nights in Ohio.
This may not have been in my wheelhouse, but I was still thoroughly entertained by this. Like, I found very much a whole lot to enjoy about this. I give this an 8.5. I really like this.
It's in a neighboring wheelhouse.
It's maybe in a wheelhouse I didn't know I had.
Yeah, I thought that this was a gorgeous movie to look at. Took a lot of twists, a lot of turns, dark subject matter. Just loved it a lot. I'm going 8 out of 10.
Nice.
I agree with everyone's opinions thus far, and for that, I will give it an 8 out of 10.
Wow. During the movie, I was sitting at an 8, but I gotta admit, I actually like dipped down to about a 7.5, only because there was a couple of things towards the end that kind of like rocked me off of the interest of the movie. But outside of that, this is a very rich, gothic, wonderful piece of. I mean, is this horror? Is this suspense? Not really mystery. It's its own little genre.
Yeah, so it's one of those little genre benders that kind of like. I don't know. There's so many different, you know, Japanese and Asian cinematographers I've seen kind of do this, that they weave like a few different like genres together to kind of make their own little tapestry, and it is really its own little niche thing. So,
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could just like categorize it as like gothic and like vaguely horror, but this is just its own weird little torrid tale.
I mean, it's the only overarching umbrella really is like tragedy, right? You got comedy and tragedy. Like, this is decidedly tragedy.
Until the next time, tune in
To the
Beyond
Trash.
I love you guys.
See ya.